Hi YouTube, this is Rose. I'm Rose, but pertaining to Rose. Sorry, it's really cold and chilly up here. You can hear it in my voice. So, I want to talk today about a near-death experience I had. Actually, I want to tell you a couple stories. So, I was on the phone earlier with somebody, and I've known her for years, a good friend of mine. And she started talking about kayaking, and I said, "Oh, I never told you about my near-death experience, have I?" She was surprised. I've never told her this story. Now I thought about it, I thought, I never did a video on it. Maybe I should think about doing one. So I thought, you better do it while I'm fresh in my mind. I kind of gave God a run for his money when I was born. I have quite a few of these stories, actually. But for whatever reason, I have a lot of near-death experiences. I've had some close calls, but my kayaking story... Sorry. I should brush some holes up with me. My kayaking story, I actually went to the Three River Gorge, which we started in West Virginia, and we floated over towards Ohio and, Kentucky, all that. The three rivers come together there. They call it the Three River Gorge. So I was with a group of friends, and one of our friends had planned it all out. They got us the campsite and everything, and they said it's a grade 2. We got professionals from out of Colorado that's doing the guide. They're going to be our guides, and it's a grade 2, so it's going to be a lazy day, just floating down the river, kayaking. You're going to learn a lot. I was so excited for this trip. It really was. And I would do this again in a heartbeat. I absolutely love this. We went out there, and our kayak trip was on a Sunday, but we got there like Friday. So Friday and Saturday, partying, having fun. It rained torrential downpours the whole time. So we get out Sunday morning. We all get up early. Saying the least, probably a little bit hungover. I don't drink anymore, but once in a while I'll have a beer with my dinner or something. But other than that, I don't really drink. I could say I had one beer in the past 2 years, I think. And that was actually like 2 weeks ago, but that's very rare for me. So, anyways, we get out there to meet with our guides, and it's been drizzling, but the whole weekend we had torrential. I mean, we literally slept in water. That's how bad our tents were totally flooded out. And we get out there now. We had wet and dry suits. Somebody brought along a whole bunch of them, and that was really nice because I got to wear a wetsuit, and it kind of kept me really warm. I'm glad, because this was March, so it was still really, really cold outside. And with the cold rain and everything, the water was a lot icier than what we anticipated, so I would never do it that time of year ever again. But we get out there, and the guide said, well, it's not really a grade 2, which would be an easy, calm thing to do. He goes, but you really don't have rapids around here. I think we can do this, even though it's a grade 5, which apparently only top professionals should do a grade 5. I mean, I would not ever try a grade 5 without having years of experience under my belt. After this, after what I learned, it's very scary, actually. So it started out good, and I started in what they call a rubber ducky, where you get in, you paddle yourself along. It's a training kayak. Had my little helmet on and my wetsuit and my life jacket. I was all excited, you know. And it's hard on your muscles. If you want good exercise, that would be the thing to do. It definitely is quite the run. Well, this was an 11-mile run. But, we're moving with water that's moving, and we're moving with the direction of the water. So it's not like, I was going to die from doing it or anything. That was my, oh, yeah, we could do this, not a problem. So we get halfway down the river and we come to rapids, which we were not expecting, but it goes down a waterfall first. And so my guide goes off down over the waterfall. I give him a couple seconds, and then I go to follow. And at the bottom of this waterfall is a raft with 5 guys in it. And it's hung up on a huge boulder right at the bottom of the falls. Now remember, I'm a rubber ducky. I'm not in a kayak that would kind of like bounce off and keep going. I'm a rubber ducky, which kind of like, when it hit, it's like a little tiny rubber raft. It kind of folded up and flipped right underneath this raft. What everybody else didn't know, except for the men in the raft, is that even though I was pinned up against the rock under the water, I could push up on the raft to breathe air. So at that point, I could get my face out of the water, but I knew I was breathing my own air, and I knew it would not be good. And I was under there for a long time. They could not reach me. And I knew at some point I was getting, even though the water had me pinned, it was all rushing against me. I knew that I could not, my strength could not hold up to get me out of there. And at one point I was like, well, Jesus, it's you and me. Time to take me, I guess, you know. It was one of those things, and I was, believe it or not, I was seriously calm. I was so calm during this time, which is very weird. I mean, you think, I've never been afraid of death. But to be as calm as I was very impressive. But as soon as I had that thought, it was like a wave of water came in and pushed me right out from that rock. And I'm going down the water. I could literally feel myself bouncing off rocks. Bounce, bounce, bounce. And I'm under the water. And what's really weird is I felt like I never held my breath. But I wasn't, like, my lungs weren't hurting or anything, even though I knew I was under the water. Which is very weird. What a really weird experience. But I hear this voice, just like you standing next to me talking to me. I hear this voice, and it says, Rose, get your feet out in front of you. And in my brain, I'm thinking, did I just hear that? What is going on? And it says it again, just like that. Rose, get your feet out in front of you. And as soon as I did, you know what a floating stance is, where you put your feet out and you kind of like lay back in the water and float? My body automatically went into that position, and I rose right to the top of the water. And when I did, the guide's kayak was right there in front of me, and I threw my arm up over it. And quick thinking, this man was very quick thinking, he grabbed me by the life jacket and hauled me up onto the front of his kayak. And he got me off to the side of the shore. And he tells me, he goes, you were under for so long that they were calling in helicopters to look for your body. Now, to get me out of there, they had to put me in a life raft with a bunch of other people that were rafting to take me down to the end where the buses met up with us. And they would take us back to where our cars and stuff were. I was so calm. I finished that trip. Like, even though nobody really, like, everybody was in such shock at what had happened, I was just so calm. And even the guides were like, for somebody who just nearly died, you were so calm. And I'm like, I just can't believe I made it through that. You know, when you do something, sorry that I'm shaking, I'm going to try and prop up my knees so I'm not shaking so bad. You know, I was surprised that I lived through that. And it wasn't even like I was dying, but it was like I was there and I was aware of what was happening. And I heard the voice. And I knew I bounced off the rocks. I never had a broken bone. The only thing I had was on my shin, on my left leg. The skin was ripped up off of that. I have a little scar there, just a little, maybe an inch long scar from that experience. That's all I got. Like, they checked me out, I was fine to go. It's the weirdest thing. So I have a lot of these stories where weird things have happened to me. That was my near-death experience. And yes, I would go kayaking again. I would not do one that dangerous ever again. And I would double check and double check and double check again and again to make sure it was a low grade, something calm and easy. I would never do something dangerous again. If I would have realized how dangerous it was going on a grade 5, which I did not understand the different grade levels, I just knew it was supposed to be a calm, relaxing kayaking experience. Good exercise. That was my understanding of it. And, I would do it again. I would definitely go out, but I would do it on a lake or something where, you know, I'm not worried, and I had a little bit more training. That was my first time going out, my own time I ever went out kayaking. Um, but it was fun. It was fun. It's something, like I said, I would have to definitely check over and over again, make sure it was something that I would be willing to do. And I wouldn't do it that time of year ever again. That was so cold. I was so grateful for a wetsuit. Because if I would have had that wetsuit on, I, I would have probably had a lot more skin removed off my body. It went quite a distance under the water hitting rocks, and that's definitely something that I should have been a lot more damaged, and I should have been dead from that. God definitely saved me. I have another little story for you. You might get a kick out of this. So when I was a kid, I was often a runaway. I partied. I got into all kinds of trouble. If somebody said, hey, we're doing this, I'd be like, count me in. I'm on my way. Didn't matter what it was. I was always up for it. And I'm still on. I'm just one of those free spirits. I love doing things. I love being with people. I love trying new things. And I've been like that since I was born. If I could get away and go do it, I would, in a heartbeat. I would jump onto anything. I've done all kinds of weird, crazy stuff. But this one night, we decided to party at the park. And it's just a little rink. It's not a very big park. And it's in the middle of the night. I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're being loud. We're kids. We're teenagers, young teenagers at that. So anyways, somebody yelled, cops! And we all took off running in different directions. But there's a little church in the park. And it had a bunch of garbage cans behind the church. So there was a metal one back there. I lifted the lid, I jumped into the garbage can, and I closed the lid on top of me. So now my knees are up against my chest. I'm squished into this little can. And it stinks to high heaven. It's all kinds of greasy, dirty stuff in there. It wasn't no garbage, but the inside of the can was like real yucky. And it smelled really bad. But anyways, your legs fall asleep. You're not getting the proper oxygen you should be getting. I fall asleep. Now, at one point, I actually hear a police officer checking the garbage cans. He never checked the one I was in. Somebody called for him, and he took off running. I could hear the cops out running this way and that way, trying to catch all these kids that were partying in the park. But I fall asleep again in this garbage can. And in the morning, a car driving by, it had a woman and a man in it, her and her husband. And the woman just driving by the church says to her husband out of the blue, so God must have told her I was there, because she looked right at her husband and said, there's a child in the garbage can. And he slammed on his brakes. I think that's what woke me. I heard that screech. And he comes running up to the garbage can. He came right to my garbage can. There was like 5 or 6 garbage cans out there. And he lifted the lid, and I looked up at him. I was covered in dirt. I was so filthy, and I smelled to high heaven. He helped me get out of the garbage can. He asked me where I lived. I told him. He got me in his car, and they took me home. I must have stank to high heaven. They must have drove with the windows down. I don't even remember. But can you imagine a teenager? And I was pretty tiny. I'm tiny now. I'm a little bigger than what I was then, but I mean, I was pretty tiny. To be stuck in a garbage can all night. And that lid was on pretty tight. Like, I don't know how I got it on that tight. But I think I was so cramped in there, squished in there, like a contortionist. I probably wouldn't have been able to get the lid open. I would have probably had to try to knock it over somehow. I don't even think I could. I don't even think I had wiggle room for that. But can you imagine? That woman knew just driving past the church that somebody was in that garbage can. And they automatically stopped and came and checked. I was like, that was God. I claim that as my other near-death experience. Because let me tell you, if I would have fell back to sleep, I would have probably ran out of air at some point and died. You know, I have all these really weird stories, things, and this really did happen. Both things really, really, truly happened to me. I have lived the most unusual life. So I owe it to God that I'm still living, and I don't know how I'm living. Especially for my age. I should have been gone a long time ago. But I'm thinking, he really has to keep an eye on me. Because I'm always getting myself into some kind of crazy, outrageous thing. You know, if you have any funny stories or a near-death experience, tell it to me in the comments. I want to hear them. I love hearing your stories, and I love that you write me in your comments. I truly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe. I need the subscribers. I'm excited that you are part of my team, and I love meeting all of you. So thank you very much again, and if you ever have any crazy story you want to tell me, let me know, because sometimes I get on my little things and I drive all over the country and I meet YouTubers. Haven't done it for a while. I need to get back to it. So if you go to my PTR Adventures YouTube, I'll try to comment from there so you can see it in the comments, and I'll pin it so that you can click on that. That's normally the channel that I use when I do these. I did some of them on this channel because this is my main channel. I've been all up and down the East Coast, and I've been out to Texas and Kansas and Iowa and Illinois. So let me know. I get back on the road again. Maybe I'll stop by your area and do a YouTube meetup with you. I would just love to meet you all. I have had so much fun doing these things, and maybe we can get something going here. Get that YouTube co-op going on again. You know, I got my YouTube co-op. I try to meet up with other YouTubers when I can. I have people down in Atlanta, and people in Texas, people in Florida, and we all get together. I go here, I go there, I meet up with them. It's so much fun. It really is. So I love you all, and I'm going to cut this off here, but I will talk to you another time. Bye.